So I began to start feeling that. When I listen, I said, oh no. If I knew about Satan back then, I probably would have said, oh no, not this time, Satan. But I'm telling you, I looked at him, man, I got up off that swing so quick, grabbed my bike. He was like, wait, where you going? Where you going? I ain't even answer him. I got on that bike and hauled tail home. And I remember riding my bike with tears coming down my eyes because, with tears coming down my cheeks because I just that quickly I started to beginning to feel like, what is this? Why do these little boys want to touch me? Or what is this going on? You know, what am I giving? You know, basically, like, what am I giving off for them to be attracted to me in that way or want to do something like that? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, all these questions, just, you know, in my 7-year-old brain, just trying to figure out. Hey y'all, welcome to Receive and Relate. If this is your first time here, I am so glad you clicked on this video for story time. Welcome back. Those of you who are already subscribed and already been here, welcome back. Even if you aren't subscribed, I'm glad you came back. Hey y'all, hey. So today's story is going to be about TJ. And again, you know, if you haven't been here before, I am using names that I made up in my book, Cage Girl, that I will leave in the description, the link for in the description box below. These names that I am naming are not the names of the people. I am not naming real names on purpose, okay? Ain't nobody suing me out here, okay? I'm just telling my story. The only real name in my book is my name. This was after, if you go, I have not redone it, and I don't think I need to redo it, but if you go on my Storytime playlist and go, you're gonna have to go down some, because I did this like, was it even this year? I think it was this year. Maybe like March or February or somewhere back then. I released the story about when I was first molested, and the first molestation was from a little boy a year older than me. This story happened not long after that. I believe I was 7. Listen, I started this book. Let me just put this disclaimer in real quick. I started writing this book and when the Lord first told me to start writing this book, he gave me the vision for the look and everything, okay, was 2016. But I was in school getting my undergrad, getting my bachelor's, and then I got my master's, and then I was in and out of the world. I had backslid a couple times during this time, okay, being very transparent. So it took me a minute to get this done. But in 2023, that's when God said, I need you to get it done now, daughter. And so I finished it. I finished the manuscript right at the end, right at either December 2023 or January 2024. But it is now finally published September of 2024. So it took me a minute. So some chapters I might be looking like I may not remember, but it's just that I'm trying to remember. But everything is in the book. All details are in the book. That's why I really encourage you to get it, so that even if I do forget, it's not forgotten in the book, okay? All right, so now that I had that little commercial, and we're gonna talk about TJ. So TJ was in my neighborhood, and I used to I lived in a neighborhood that had predominantly old people at the time when I was a kid. And it was older, like white people too. And this is not to say that that's not a racist thing. I'm just telling you what it was, okay? And so I didn't have kids, you know what I'm saying? And I've always been a child and even adult that will play with anybody, whatever. It didn't matter the race they are. That just was never me, right? But there was no kids at all. It was just literally older white people in my neighborhood. And except for TJ, right? And so the reason why I started out saying that is because I was by myself a lot. So my my oldest sister that from my mom is 13 years older than me. And so we didn't grow up in the house together. You know what I'm saying? So when I was young, she was like just like 4 or 5. She just graduated from high school, then she went to college. You know what I'm saying? So during these years, she's in college, so I'm by myself. Then she when she graduated from college, she stayed with us for a little bit while she was saving for a marriage, but then she got married and then she moved out. So I was by myself a lot. You know, it would look to someone like I was the only child, right? So I used to, when I did go outside and play, when I did get away from the TV watching and stuff like that, I rode my bike around, around the neighborhood. We lived close to a cul-de-sac, and I stayed back there mostly because it was like a dead end. My mom thought I'd be safe back there, you know what I'm saying, versus going out and going onto the main streets. So TJ was the younger brother of one of my sister's friends that I think she went to high school with, I believe. And I had, at that time, I think I met him maybe like once before, but he wasn't somebody that I went to knock on the door to ask to come out to play. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I really believe I only met him maybe like once before the day that I saw him. And so I'm riding my bike this one afternoon, I'm minding my business, and he lived in the cul-de-sac, right? And so if you're not sure what a cul-de-sac is, just Google it. It's one of those when you live in a neighborhood and it's sort of like a dead end where you have to like turn around in a circle to go out, and there's some houses that live in that circle. He lived like just before you entered into the cul-de-sac. That's where their house was. And so one day, I was, like I said, I was riding my bike and I had turned around in a cul-de-sac and I was coming back up the street, and he saw me and he said, hey, and I stopped my bike and I said, hey, and he was like, you want to come in the backyard and play or whatever. And the innocence, when you a child, and then he was a child too. You know what I'm saying? I would later find out he was just a year older than me also. And so a year, maybe 2 years. But nonetheless, he was a kid also. I ain't think nothing of it. You know, and I'm like, okay, fine. But at first I hesitated. I did hesitate at first though, because, my mom had always told me, don't go in nobody's house without telling me. But again, like I said, I went on ahead and decided because, well, first he was like, yeah, that's what he said. That was kind of how he convinced me too, because like I said, I hesitated because my mom told me don't go to people's houses. But he was like, come on, you know me, I'm your sister, brother type thing or whatever. And like I said, I had only met him maybe like once or twice before, but I remember who he was, and I was like, okay, fine. So we went into his backyard, and he had I remember him having a swing set. And I sat on the swing set and swung, and he was like talking, like, how boys do, like with the stick, drawing in the dirt, kicking it, just like talking, but just, doing that to like occupy themselves. He didn't swing on the swing set with me. He just was talking randomly. And it was all fine and dandy at first until he started asking me some questions. And he asked me, had I ever seen like a penis before? And I was like, no. And then he was like, basically like, well, he's seen he called it a cootie. He's seen a cootie before. And then he asked to see my cootie. And right then and there, so again, if you haven't watched this story, I encourage you to go back and watch the one where I said I was molested at 6. So by this time, if I'm 7, 8, I think I was 7. This happened to me already, but the difference was that this person touched me, right? So what happened was I started to understand that, or sense that, something like that was getting ready to happen again. And if you remember me saying, even if I didn't even say it on that video, I've said it on others here prior, that how the sin that I didn't understand what I was feeling at the time, right? But it was this it was this feeling of disgust, even at 6 years old, that dropped into me when what was happening with me, when I was being touched. And so my heart just dropped to the floor, because I sensed that that's where this was getting ready to go. That's what it was. I sensed that that's where this was getting ready to go. And so I did not want to feel that. I mean, I tell y'all, I'm telling you, I can describe it better now, but at 6 and 7, I could not articulate what I was feeling. But I knew it was wrong. I was fine before I went back there to his backyard, right? I always feel like I'm not facing y'all. Sorry, I just be feeling like the camera be crooked. Anyway, so I began to start feeling that. When I listen, I said, oh no. If I knew about Satan back then, I probably would have said, oh no, not this time, Satan. But I'm telling you, I looked at him, man, I got up off that swing so quick, grabbed my bike. He was like, wait, where you going? Where you going? I ain't even answer him. I got on that bike and hauled tail home. And I remember riding my bike with tears coming down my eyes, because, with tears coming down my cheeks, because I just that quickly, I started to beginning to feel like, what is this? Why do these little boys want to touch me? Or what is this going on? You know, what am I giving, you know, basically, like, what am I giving off for them to be attracted to me in that way, or want to do something like that? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, all these questions, just, you know, in my 7-year-old brain, just trying to figure out. But I knew I hated that feeling. It was bubbling. That feeling was bubbling right in my belly, just like the one when I was 6. And so by the time I got home, my mom heard me come home, and I went straight into my room. And when I was in my room, I laid down on the bed, and she came in the room, in my bedroom. And she sat on my bed. She said, what's wrong? She said, did something happen? And I just told her no. I was so scared to tell her. I just didn't tell her. And one of the reasons is because I didn't know how to tell her. I literally didn't know what to say, because I didn't understand it myself. I did not understand. Excuse me. I be stuttering, y'all. Pray for me. I did not understand what happened to me when I was 6, and I did not understand what just happened at 7, and the feeling that I got, knowing that this was getting ready to happen. Something was getting ready to happen similar to 6 years old. You know what I'm saying? I could not articulate it. And I also, I just had this, like, assumption that she would be mad at me if I did try to tell her. And that's crazy, right? But it's just, you know, that's how Satan works. You know what I'm saying? Want you not to tell, and Satan do this with grown adults. Want you to keep your business to yourself. Want you to keep harboring these circumstances and these situations that you went through to yourself, not sharing it with anybody. That's why people be afraid to be out here, to go to a therapist, because they don't want to open up about their personal business, but not realizing that God could literally send that therapist to help you and navigate you through your trauma. You know what I mean? But people out here, you know, don't tell, don't ask, don't tell. And you got people living years and years and years and years with secrets and dealing with trauma, and that'll result into types of relationships that they get in, you know, types of people that they get into relationships with. You understand what I'm saying? Or situationships with, not realizing it's because you still harboring on, or you're still dealing with the trauma that you dealt with when you were a kid. You know what I'm saying? Or when you were younger or whatever. You have not released that. You have not healed. You have not talked about it. And so you just living, you know, with all this trauma, and you need to be free. You know what I'm saying? You need to let it out and be free. So for those of you who are new to my channel is my YouTube channel. My podcast here is called Receive and Relate. And the Lord gave me this. He told me because people receive when they can relate. And so he told me to begin to tell my story, or stories. And the first assignment that he gave me was to write my book and write them all down in a book. And so now he has given me the assignment now to begin to start sharing it, because there are people out here, and some of you might be watching me right now, who have not shared what happened to you, and as a result, it has resulted in you in the way you respond to people, the way you are in relationships, why some of you may not, your relationships may not work out, why some of you haven't gotten to marriage yet, some of you be afraid to get married because of something that happened, some of you be afraid, because when you get married, you're supposed to because the Bible says so, be fruitful and multiply, but some of you don't want to be touched because of what happened to you, and you haven't been free from it. But you need somebody to understand that you're not alone, and so that's where I come in, and that's why I'm sharing my stories. I'm not just out here, y'all, okay, let me just rap about what I've been through. Who volunteers to do that? As transparent as I am, which I became to be. I was very shy when I was younger. As you see, I didn't talk about my stuff when I was younger. This all literally is God. This is none of this is me. This is all God, okay? Having a relationship with him and coming to the understanding that it's okay for me to share. I didn't volunteer to do this. He told me to start doing this. Cause who like this? Pick me, God. I'll tell my business to, and now to the whole entire world. Okay, I'm not volunteering trying to do this, y'all. It's not about trying to gain subscribers and all of that. I'm just being obedient, doing what the Lord told me to do. Now that he's gonna bring the people whenever he decides to bring the people, but that's not my agenda, okay? But some of you need to understand that you're not alone. You're not alone. I cannot stress that enough. There's somebody out there that shares the same or similar story as you. And at the end of the day, we just trying to be free in these streets. We trying to drink our water, mind our business, and not be dealing with trauma for 50, 60, 70 years, okay? So that's my soapbox. But yeah, so that is the story of TJ. There are more to come. So stay tuned. And like I said on my other videos, I'm not going in chronological order exactly as my book. When I release a video, it's whatever the Lord tells me to release that day, okay? So today is TJ, okay? I hope you come back and check out my description box, because I have a couple of other videos that you might be interested in. And I have an ebook and a paperback version of my book, Cage Girl, okay? This story is in Cage Girl. Some of the stories, like I said, come back, because some of the stories might not be in Cage Girl. They may end up being in Cage Girl 2, which God willing will be released next year. But just come back, because you never know. And share and like it. I would appreciate it, you guys. Okay? Remember, people receive when they can relate. I love you, but know that God loves you more. Bye.